Chavez's death has left uncertainty not only in Venezuela but across Latin America. With its most vocal opponent out of the picture, some experts are wondering whether Washington will use the chance to increase its influence in the region. RT's Gaine Chikian takes a look.
Millions of people throughout Latin America are mourning the death of Hugo Chavez. The Venezuelan leader enjoyed tremendous popular support in his country, as well as the whole region. He won 4 presidential elections and had ruled Venezuela for 14 years.
This liberation process, not only of the Venezuelan people, but also of all the Latin American peoples, must continue.
Chavez allowed us to restore faith in Latin America region so that a profound transformation in the region can be carried out.
The oligarchs and the empire will no doubt be happy and celebrating the news.
Empire is the word a host of South American leaders use to refer to the United States. In Washington, President Obama extended his sympathy to the Chavez family and heralded, quote, a new chapter in the history of Latin America. But the U.S. Congress was not as restrained in their reaction to the death of the Venezuelan leader. The chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee had this to say.
His death dents the alliance of anti-U.S. leftist leaders in South America. Good riddance to this dictator.
In the media, a slew of pundits embarked on a search for new opportunities that might now be available for the U.S. in Venezuela.
So what does this mean now for the United States and all that oil in that country?
Venezuela is a place of enormous opportunity. It has, by surveys, perhaps the largest reserves of oil in the world.
From the U.S. point of view, this has enormous potential implications because a Venezuela that moves away from Chavez's foreign policy means a Venezuela that's less welcoming to Iran, less friendly to Russia, less friendly to Castro's Cuba, less friendly to left-wing regimes around the hemisphere, which it's financed in their campaigns and other aspects.
But before America jumps at the chance to explore those new opportunities, it might be useful to look back at what Washington's previous efforts led to.
What the U.S. now calls leftist populist governments in Latin America came to power partly in reaction to decades of the U.S. recklessly meddling in the affairs of the region. For years, Washington had seen many of those countries as its outposts. After Chavez was elected in 1999, a host of other leaders in Latin America followed his example to varying extents, including, but not limited to, Evo Morales in Bolivia, Rafael Correa in Ecuador, and Daniel Ortega in Nicaragua.
Chavez may not have been as hardened in his views against Washington if not for allegations of the tacit support of the Bush administration in the coup against him in 2002.
He met with Bill Clinton a couple times and they got along just fine. It was really only with George Bush then when things really turned sour, and especially after the coup attempt.
Within 48 hours of the start of the coup, with the help of the military and vast popular support, Chavez returned to power. But during that short period when he was deposed, some in the U.S. hurried to celebrate. The New York Times, for example, ran this article.
Venezuelan democracy is no longer threatened by a would-be dictator. Caracas now provides 15% of American oil imports, and with sounder policies could provide more.
For years after the coup, Chavez had expressed his anger at the Bush administration in a variety of fiery metaphors.
The devil came here yesterday. And it still smells of sulfur here.
George W. Bush has long left office, but suspicion and mistrust remained. Some argue if, during these challenging times for Latin America, Washington continues to deal with the region using the same old tactics, the hostility could deepen. In Washington, I'm Gaine Chikian.